Show them that. I want to show them where we at, man. We know it as the gallery, man.
Yeah, man, we down here,
the
man.
District. We down the fashion district, man. It's 2024. We sliding into 2025, man. Yeah, man. We down Wreck Philly. Major moment in history. Donald Trump just got elected the president again, and it's time to do tell my true Hollywood story.
Yeah, man. All right, let's get started. Let's get into it. What's up, my people, man? This Since I've Been Home podcast, special edition, the interview. You know what I'm saying? I'm your narrator, Hakeem Young, also known as the Philly Shay, man. We're going to turn this Mr. Club Shay. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? So I'm here to represent my brother, interview my brother, no other than Jon Hakeem McKay, also known as Black Seas. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I went through a couple names. Where did the names come from? Do you where do you get your nickname and what do your name mean?
So,
if you do know.
To the best of my knowledge, my grandmom named me. I asked my mom, and she said my grandmom named me. My grandmom Barbara, long live my grandmom Barbara McKay, my father's mother. She named me Jon Hakeem McKay. Jon means God has given. I didn't look that up until during COVID. Never look my name up. If you're watching this, look your name up. Look your children's name up. I looked it up, and I did know Hakeem meant wisdom, and I knew it was Arabic. And that's where my name comes from, Black Seas. I was just telling this story earlier. I went to Dell State when I graduated from Girard College in 2002. And, I started Manny Strong Records after graduating, and that was my hip-hop identity. I chose that as my identity at the time. I was a student at Dell State. I was excited to go to college, but honestly, me not paying attention, I didn't even know it was an HBCU. I applied to go there because they was the only ones that could accept somebody with a 2.5, and my GPA was way lower than that, so shout out to Dell State University for giving me a shot. But once I got there, I was kind of like in a different space, so I got into a couple of situations. And when, to make a point on campus, I was building my record label at school because I'm in college. That's what I was doing.
So I don't want to cut you off, but we're going to get to all that.
No, just my name, Black Seas. I'm telling you a story about my name. My name was birthed. That's what you asked me?
Yes, sir. I apologize. Go ahead. Get to Dell State.
So I'm at Dell State, and I wanted to get a shirt made to send a message. And at this time, I didn't never have a nickname. To your point, we went to Girard all our lives. I never had a nickname. And so I chose Black Seas because Julius Caesar, I remember from school, I came, I saw, I conquered. And that was always been my attitude. And so now as it comes into me having to have an identity, have a parody, that's where I went. So it was Black Caesar before Dell State. It was Black Caesar. But I think it was Black Caesar initially, but my uncle told me Black Caesar was a joint, so I changed it to Black Seas. Yeah, being real rare. He's like, what? Black Caesar? And it's free Manny Strong.
Right.
He's like,
right.
Yeah, but Caesar is a status. Mm-hmm. But so I had got a shirt made and said, Black Seas, I came, I saw, I conquered Dell State. So that's how Black Seas was born, for both the entertainment, and I had to let them know, wherever I go. That's what I do, man. All glory be to God. Never by myself, but, he got me being a Caesar out here.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's start from the beginning, sir. What's the origins of your family? Like, before Philly and Philly. Like, for instance, my family come from down south.
Right. I believe, so my grandma was very instrumental in communicating, traveling, and visiting our family. So I know my dad's side, my grandma is from down Virginia, but I also know we have, real talk, everybody say this, Indian roots, Blackfoot Indian tribe. And we were looking into that. Wish I was had the better capacity to follow through, because my grandma, she was traveling around, and my great grandma. I had the luxury of having some years with my great grandma too. But I know with my great grandma, even though they both had knee replacements and wasn't as mobile as they could be in their later years, it never stopped them from traveling, seeing their family in Cali, Virginia. But to answer your question, Virginia, and I think on my mom's side, my grandpa from Alabama, from down Alabama, and I think my grandma, I think she might have been from down there too. My grandmom Dottie. I'm not sure, but yeah, I had a better, more direct answer for you.
Oh, I understand. And Philly?
Yeah. Oh, definitely born and raised in Philadelphia, Erie Avenue to be exact, 19th for Erie, EA all day. You know, set it up, and then Girard College. I lived at Girard College from 2nd to 12th grade, and from 2nd to maybe 4th grade, we only went home on Sunday and came back on Sunday, and then we started going home on the weekend. So to put that in perspective, I really lived at a boarding school. We would go home on Friday and come back on Sunday.
All right. Now, as a kid growing up, what did you want to be, and how did that change as you grew up?
Wow, good question. I'm glad you asked me that. I can remember it vividly, man. In 3rd and 4th grade, I wanted to be a lawyer and a doctor. And
that's very believable. Growing up with you, you could have been both of those things.
Well, I'm proud to say I am.
And still
you know what I'm
can be.
saying?
Go ahead.
I'm proud to say that I am both a lawyer and a doctor. Not by law. You get what I'm saying? Because I haven't completed my degrees, but definitely by practice. You know, as an advocate for the community and student of law, and you know, advocating for my own criminal cases, other people's cases. You know, yeah. You know, definitely, and just on a daily basis, outside of cases, you know, I'm an advocate. And then, you know, Mr. Treat Your Trauma, it's okay not to be okay. You know, I'm a doctor, you know, and bringing brain health to the world. You know, shout out to Dr. Daniel Amen while being a student at CCP. I got introduced to him, as you know. And now I'm out here, you know, really one of the leaders of introducing the world to brain health. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I in 4th grade. But what I will tell you is that when I found out at that same age how much time I had to go to school was when I let go of that dream. So that's why I didn't go to college to be a lawyer or a doctor, because at that time, even at 4th grade, I was kind of already like, this school, like, more of this, 4 more years, like you gotta go to college plus law school plus med school, and just not understanding at that young age that it's not gonna look like it looked in 4th grade, made me say, I'm not doing that. And then but at that same age too, we did the first talent show at Girard with Mr. Collins. Shout out to Will Mega. I mean, appointed in the city with Mayor Sherelle Parker right now, who's my 4th and 5th grade house parent, very instrumental in the militant Jan, Mr. Security for Philly, and a lot of, you know, in raising me up. I ain't even realized this until recent reflection, but I say that to say my passion for entertainment was also tapped into then, you know, because Girard allowed us to have talent shows and all that. In our section, we put on, like, made commercials, we made skits. It was like we was like in living color. We did our own in living color the whole way through. So that was birth. And I performed the first time I rapped. Method Man, Release Your Duff, my favorite rapper. You know, one of my favorite rappers at that time, like my favorite rapper. I got a couple now, but that was the first performance in rap I ever did. I rapped his lyrics. Method Man, shout out to Method Man. Always teaching us principles. That's hip hop.
So was the entertainment came as like a older adolescence, because you went from doctor lawyer to entertainment?
Well, I was saying that was the same year. Like in 4th grade, you know, all that happened. As I was telling you, all that happened. You know, I kind of gave up
the doctor and went to entertainment. Okay.
And, yeah, because I was able to explore it. I would say not that I gave up, but I definitely was like, I ain't going to school for being what. I said I was done with that. So now I'm all on entertainment. And look at that. Class clown all the way through. Yo, real rap, see, bag.
All right, now, what was the dynamic home? For example, what was your mother and father like at home if they was together, and what was the relationship with the siblings?
Well, a lot of what I'm going to tell you I didn't know at the time, but I knew my mom and dad wasn't together. So, my mom and dad separated.
Were they ever together when you were young?
So I'm the only child between my mother and father, and basically after my mom got pregnant, my dad went to the service, and by the time, I don't know exactly what time, but when he came home, you know, she had moved on with my step-pop, and her and my step-pop have been together ever since. and I got 5 siblings, you know, on my mom's side, and then my dad, I have 3 siblings over there. So, but I'm the only child between my mom and dad, and no, I can't. I don't know. I don't even remember ever having them both together as a child, like, you know what I mean, in the same space at all.
But you grew up in a household with a
father
with a
and a
father
mother.
figure. So how was the dynamic between you and your stepfather?
I mean, going to Girard, you know, it wasn't too much of a dynamic because I lived at Girard, but you know, our interactions was pretty cool. You know, we have, you know, some moments, but it wasn't. I would just say I think being at Girard didn't allow for a lot of opportunity, you know what I mean, for us to have a lot of moments because I lived at school, and when I would be home on the weekend, I would be babysitting my siblings. I'm the oldest of 6, and so all 5 of my siblings was born a year apart, 4 years after me. So by the time I was 10, all my siblings was born, and they go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You get what I'm saying? So I was doing a lot of babysitting with them, and so I was parentified is the term, you know what I mean, while my mom was at work and he was at work. So when I was home, I was really the one, you know what I mean? So we didn't spend a lot, I didn't have a lot of time with him developing and growing like that. But he definitely taught me a lot as it relates to being disciplined and being a man and strong and security, you know what I mean, like on that side, which I would say, I don't know how long, if he's been Muslim his whole life, but I think that, you know, if just to give a person, a viewer, identity, like if you could think about a Muslim brother, because he is Muslim, my pop and my step pop.
So the relationship between you and your step pop was fairly cool, you would say?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I'm blessed with family, parents, uncles, aunts, all the way across the board. Like,
Village.
Straight, yeah, I'm extremely blessed. All glory be to God.
I heard you touched on it a little with your siblings. How was the dynamic with you and your siblings?
The dynamic with me and my
I know you
siblings,
being an older brother.
yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, being an older brother, you know, I've always been in a position of leadership. So, you know, as things went from me just watching them and them getting older and me shifting to passing the responsibility off to them, you know, that comes with struggle. You get what I'm saying? Because now you don't want, nobody really wants their peer telling them what to do. You feel me? So I've had, you know, not a lot, but I had some struggles with, you know, one of my siblings.
Understood. We don't have to dive in deep if you don't want to, but
No, yeah, but I'll just say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna really, as far as anybody I'm talking about, I'm not gonna really identify them because that's their space to tell their story. Now, if we here together, you get what I'm saying. But I'll just say my siblings, unless you know,
understood.
It's something celebrating.
Now that you bring up that though, now let me ask this question: do you think the home dynamic like affected you like negatively, like in your adulthood, meaning like you had to play, you know, parental guidance at a young age. You grew up in a home with the non-traditional way, without I guess your biological father and mother. You had a stepfather, so that's great because you know some people grow up in single parent homes. Do you think growing up that way affected you negatively, like your childhood affected you in an adult way?
Yeah, I mean, negatively or adversely.
Either way, you can
right.
say positively.
Right. Yeah, both ends. I think all things do that, but the negative I would say is it's an interesting negative. The negative is like the lack of deep relationship, connection with my siblings and my family. Being at boarding school, you dig what I'm saying? Being away. And so now, the dynamics of our relationship is good, but you can't undo time that you didn't have together. You can't make that up. You get what I'm saying? I can't make up time that we had that we didn't have. So that's how relationships are built. So we know we siblings and we love each other and we have time together, but the negative impact is that I didn't have as much time as if I wasn't at boarding school with them, that I would have to really build on a relationship. Me being older, it could have been some things, happening that maybe a big brother could have been helpful for. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That I wasn't, present to be. And, I feel like it has been situations where it has been voiced. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of came out where it wasn't my fault, but, it had a negative. So you get what I'm saying when you ask me, do it had a negative impact? Yeah, because I wasn't able to be president or whatever outside of my control, it actually caused negative impact amongst me and my siblings sometimes.
Understood. But just to dive into kind of because that is what I meant, but I'm like, you know me, my wife, she grew up in a situation where she grew up with her grandma, and I watched, I've been with her for 20 years. So I watched that, the fact that she grew up with her grandma, she's going through like abandonment issues. You know what I'm saying? We having a candid conversation between family. So that's what I meant by like.
No, right, and I'm touching on that though. That's what I'm saying as far as like not having that deep relationship. You know what I mean? I didn't use the word abandonment, but having a deeper relationship.
So you're saying your siblings kind of felt abandoned, or you?
Right, in both ways.
Okay.
I'm saying both ways. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying because you can't have that deep relationship without time.
Facts. It's built.
So that's why I was saying you can't make that up. So now, while I didn't get to it, so now what I've seen in my adulthood, which I was going to get to, is a level of abandonment issues and a need for certain type of support and presence. I won't call it negative, but it could have negative impacts for a person that don't understand it or whatever the case may be. And that's why I say the word negative is, subjective, but definitely has adverse or counterproductive. I like to say productive or not productive. I don't know. I wanted to go to Girard College. You feel me?
You're the only sibling that went?
Yes.
Why is that? If you do,
I believe because my uncles and aunts on my dad's side, they come from my mom's side. So I was, I'm oldest of 6. These is my step-pop children. So my Girard College exposure is on my dad's side. So they not really getting no exposure. So now I want to go because my uncles and aunts on that side. My little sister, one of my little sisters actually did get accepted, but she was young. She was a girl. My mom didn't want to send her. You get what I'm saying? So one of them could have came, and it was explored. But I say that, everybody's situation with Girard wasn't because they wanted to go. You feel me? But me, and I brought that up because I was like, I wanted to go. So even though now I can say, as an expert in trauma, I know having a broken household with your parents not being together, knowing things that I know had traumatic impact on me, like I know it. But what I'm saying to you as a kid, I didn't feel it. You feel me? Like, I felt missing not having my dad. You get what I'm saying? Like, my dad was very, 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 I would say, detrimental. You know what I mean? Impactful to me because, who don't want their own dad? You feel me? Because having your siblings and having a step-pop is cool, but it ain't like he was dead. You feel me? Like, my dad.
Do you want to dive into why you didn't have your dad?
Sure. I mean, I didn't have my dad to my knowledge at the time because he was incarcerated. And,
I told you first he went to, you say he was on the service.
Yeah, he went to the service, and after returning to the service, that was kind of like, I would say, the beginning of his trauma. You get what I'm saying? Like, he, I'll call him and being, in love with my mom. It wasn't a situation where he went and came back and didn't want to be with her. You dig what I'm saying? So I'll say that. And that broke his heart. You know what I mean? And what I would say is why he wasn't around. All I knew as a kid, because I'm gonna tell you, as as a child, was because he was getting locked up. Not because of nothing crazy, but that's what I understood. I'm at Gerard. My mom and dad not together, so me not seeing him, I'm not looking at it as a negative thing. But I can say that I definitely I value every trip we went to the movies and arcade, and when I seen him, and I know I had times where I was upset and wanted to see him. Especially in my childhood, I can honestly say like at Gerard, I can remember, just having a really tough time one day and like not wanting to be here, like be here on earth because I wanted my dad. You get what I'm saying? And a house parent having to. It was like a day like I want to go out the window. Real right. I can remember it vividly. And like, we had, thank God we was in elementary school, was bars on the window, nigga, you can't go. I knew there was bars and I couldn't go, but I can be honest about having that moment.
Right, you had that thought.
And that, it wasn't just a thought, it was like a emotion to it too. Like, I needed the house parent to get me together.
You remember that house parent?
It probably was either Mr. Collins, because it was, who I had. I think it was Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Yep, my old had us marching around campus.
Talk about your grandparents, man, because I know, knowing you, they was a big part of your upbringing, Gunner and Miss Mary. And before you start, where did the name Gunner come from?
Gunner, yeah. You talking about Miss Mary? Who Miss Mary?
I'm sorry, Miss Barbara. I apologize. Miss Barbara.
Yeah,
Miss Mary.
But Gunner, I mean, listen, my grandpa would always keep a gun. So and he a gun. Like, we call him Gunner as his grandchildren. But, another, silent, good example of, a man going to work, you know what I'm saying? So Gunner is my mom's dad, and my grandmom is Miss Dot, or Dorothy Butts. My grandmom Dot, she passed away first out of my grandparents. And but you said, so my grandparents is everything in my life. And I knowing what I know about the brain, I know why it really makes sense. Number one, why it's so important for us to get back to keep our families together and to raise them together. Because real quick, the brain is fully developed by 25, 28. By the time you get to 40 or 50, which is typically a good probably grandparent age, you got 10, 20 years in, 30 the older you get, with a fully developed brain and wisdom. So being raised with them versus your 20-year-old mom, 17-year-old mom, 30-year-old mom in that stage and dad trying to figure it out only, is you missing out. It's just like I was back at Gerard again. Like going to Gerard was like going to college and as elementary school. So by being able to be raising up with your grandparent, you in college. You getting college wisdom. Your mom can't change what they change. Like their parents doing the best they can with the brain they got. So like because we don't learn brain health, we ain't have the luxury of looking through it through this school.
Right. But even like I never thought of it that way. But even in like the struggle. Like, that's like intelligence and, people learning. But even in the struggle, if you had someone who was in the struggle for 15, 20 years.
Time.
As opposed to someone who was only in the struggle for 2 to 3 years.
Experience.
So it's like the experience, like everything you were saying, just like, wow, I liked it.
I had both. Mm-hmm. Mainly the mothers. Shout out to Vince McMahon, because the value of having a man, like my grandpa did cement and all that. I'd never done no cement with him or nothing. Not that it was negative, just life didn't, didn't really provide it. But, I got most of the time with my grandmothers, they were heavily devout Christian women, both my grandmom Dottie and my grandmom Barbara. So no matter who house which, most of the time, because they was helping my mom out, with the dynamics, I was over there, I was in church no matter what. I got baptized at 16 at my grandma, so I was primarily a member of my mom's church. So I got baptized at 16 on New Year's Eve. I shout that out because look where I was at on New Year's Eve at 16. By choice. You get what I'm saying? So this, and I'm very spiritual. you know what I mean, as an adult. But, you know what I mean, all glory be to God that, you know, that started very young.
All right. You mentioned earlier you graduated from Girard College.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout
How
out
did
my
you hear
main man,
about it?
Steven.
And when did you first attend?
Second grade, I graduated in 02. Y'all do the math. I think it's like 9-4. What is 9-2? I don't know. Y'all do the math. But I graduated in 2002. I was there from 2nd to 12th grade. Again, my uncle, my uncle Jamal, you know, cuts my hair. He hasn't cut it recently, so I got
Sharp too. He cut me
He's super
too.
sharp. That's why I had to let him know this is not his work. But he had cut Kobe Bryant hair. Long live Kobe Bryant. When Kobe came to Philly, he was in Slam magazine. Yeah, he was there, and a couple of my other uncles and aunts, and so I used to go over my grandma's crib. And I had a ball over there, so I wanted to go there because they was going. That was really it. I ain't going. I probably did go on a tour, but they was there. I wanted to go.
Okay. What was the differences between growing up behind a wall on campus and then growing up in the hood?
Oh well, I mean, on campus it was like being at Disney World. You completely safe. You just like you know we children run around campus. We got adults, but we had a lot of freedom. Like, you know what I mean, as far as traveling, moving around, and we never had to worry about nothing. You get what I'm saying? As far as that, me and my cousins literally got robbed one time, coming back, just walking up the street. You know what I'm saying? Just walking on our block. You feel me? Like, we was children. Like, you know what I mean? 12, 13, you know what I mean? For like a starter jacket. My cousin, so you know, like, just to give a real clear detail of the difference, you know what I mean, the danger. But family, at school, I'm not with my family, so that's another difference. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not. I don't think being the oldest of 6 kids put my mom in a tough position with having 6 kids. And I'm at boarding school, and I say that because unless I was in trouble from 2nd to 12th grade or graduation, my mom was never up at the school, not a parent-teacher meeting or none of that. And I think that you know probably would have been helpful for me, because in order to go to Girard, you have to have good grades, you have to have good behavior. I went by 2nd grade, by 3rd grade, 4th grade. I was, I'm saying that to say I was intelligent, but now I'm using that intelligence. I'm in there misbehaving, and I'm using that intelligence to get away with whatever. And my mom, you know what I mean? I don't know why. I'll try to think. I mean, and maybe I don't remember, but I don't remember other than like when I was fighting or something, my mom coming up there to like, I don't remember Gerard having no conversation with me or nothing because I would always maneuver, so yeah.
We were all just confronted by some disturbing news about Girard College this year. A longtime employee was accused of sexual assault that might have been going on since the 80s. How do you feel about that?
Man, I'm severely disappointed, and it's just bad. The individual, Mr. S, as I know him, Mr. Keith Steininger, he was a mentor for me. And all glory be to God, I didn't get exposed to any abuse or nothing that, he never tried to do anything to me or invite me to anything or show me anything or anything like that. But the sad reality is that was several people's reality. So, I mean, bro, you know what I mean? This media. So I I would say I formally met Mr. S. Not formally, but started having him as a mentor. I was the only person in detention. And that's how much I had detention, to the point where I was the only person in detention. And instead of having me in detention, he had me help him film a cooking production with one of with the home ec teacher that we had at the time. And I held the boom mic. So the boom mic is like you hold a stick, you hold the mic. If you ever seen the movie, sometimes the mic come down, so that's the boom mic. And from there, that was my introduction to media. And I would have tough times in class. And, Mr. S built a audio visual department at the school. And we would film, before I joined the Gets Club or the audio visual club, I would see them around with the camera filming stuff. So, after doing that, I started going to the audio visual club, using the equipment. And from there, that was my safe haven, just going down there to create, just like we down here at Rec Philly. Mr. S built the whole studio, and now we know definitely, possibly primarily for the wrong reasons, but definitely utilized for the wrong reasons. But yeah, man, that was devastating. I'll tell you this one part right here, as far as like after I graduated from Girard, I would go to Girard to get my copies and continue to use the audio visual department, or GETS, Girard Educational Technology Services department, to print my flyers as like my Kinkos. And while that's when I started life outside the streets, Manny Strong Records, being an adult, I had caught my own case. I caught a case where I was charged with gun and drugs, which is a mandatory 5 years upstate. And I waited to the very last minute to ask him, Mr. S, for a support letter for sentencing. Because, I ain't want to, I'm going up there still doing business as an adult, but nobody knows I'm out selling drugs and doing the things that I'm doing. And now, because I'm in trouble, I have to disclose this. So, I didn't want to do that, but I knew I needed to play every card I had
right.
to win in court, to get favor. Bro, world, not making this up. I had about 50 letters. The judge said I read all of them. He said, but I'm going to tell you, the only reason I'm not sending you upstate is because of 2 letters I read. He said, yours and this teacher from Girard College. Because I don't believe he would lie and say the good things he said about you if they weren't true. He said, that's the only reason I'm not sending you upstate. And then on top of that, I don't know, well, I ain't gonna say I don't know, but God is interested in planting these seeds of messages. Dan Brinkley, good brother from Girard College, my house parent. I was about to get kicked out from Girard. And he was like, you might want to consider doing what you need to do to stay here, because you're in 10th grade, you get kicked out of here. You're not going to be able to have Girard as your last school. If you go to Gratz, it's going to be Gratz. And that was the reason, the logical reason. I was ready to roll. I went in Gratz, and that's why I was ready to get kicked out, because that thing looked like South Street in the hallway. And a couple of my homies was already kicked out from 9th and 10th grade. I'm like, I'm out this joint too. And he like, but I said, professional business-wise, like, he had a valid point. You was here from 2nd to 10th grade. Why would you throw that away? So I said, you know what? And I turned my back around and I secured my seat. Now I done graduated. I'm in court. The judge said, the only reason I'm not sending you upstate is because of this letter from Girard College.
Full circle.
So both my house parent telling me having Girard College on my resume was going to be impactful in saving and changing my life and helping me out. And then the letter from the guy, you know what I mean? And this is the first time I've said anything about it, even to you. You know what I mean? But,
my take on it briefly is, it pissed me off. And the reason why it pissed me off is because, I went to Girard since the 4th grade. And my whole time at Girard, even now, I got children in Girard. Like, I have 3 children that's in Girard College right now. You know what I'm saying? Your niece
and I'm thinking about, right.
So, and they actually came encounter with Steininger. My children came encounter.
Another generation.
So it pissed me off because my school was always held at such a prestige level.
Right.
And no matter where I went in Philly, anybody, when they heard that I went to Girard College, they looked at me a certain way. And this incident, people was able to call me, the motherfuckers that I gloated for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And, I talk shit. They called me, and they was like, see, you went to that rape school, huh? Oh, was that boy touching on you? And they was able to say this shit to me, so it just pissed me off, and it's just like staining my school, but it can't stain that school. Like,
no.
He cannot do that.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen, man. Listen, at the end of the day, he stained his own legacy. Real right.
Facts.
You know what I mean? He stained his own legacy, as, everybody do, But like I said, I didn't know nothing about it, but what I will say is I knew people's perception of Girard was it was a bad school, was things like that was happening. And I knew even if I didn't know that things like that was happening personally, I knew things like that was happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was tuned in. I was devastated because, like, look, he was I'm talking about, he was my personal mentor, bro.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, look, that was because of the person that I am, as far as accountability, you feel me, is why I identify him, because of what he did. You understand? But I say that to say, like, in so many bios, he was mentioned. You get what I'm saying? When I'm telling my story, you get what I'm saying? I'm like, now I'm going to just say, I mean, it's, we putting it out through an interview, so they'll have this, you feel me? But other than, me addressing this in a situation like this, I'm not going to voluntarily put it in any, you get what I'm saying, identify him no more to be, celebrated. You get what I'm saying? That's like, you know what I mean, as far as for me. So it's just like, I mean, what I will say is how we found out was with him taking accountability. You know what I mean? So, I definitely, am glad to hear that. You get what I'm saying? Because that's more in line with what I know.
What you know him
to be. You know what I mean? With integrity.
All right. When did your love for music first sprout? And who influenced that?
Oh, man, great pick-me-up.
Had to go to a lighter.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Jeez, shout out to my guy. Yeah, I mean, he might ask you a tough question, but he's gonna lift you up on the next one. Because they ain't gonna beat you down. Or, they'll try to beat you. They'll try to get all the juice they can get out.
We're here to beat you down, baby.
But I mean, I can't name it, but I would say my earliest art, cause I would say my whole life, because I just love music. But the first rapper, the Fat Boys, Run DMC. I think my dad was very instrumental in that. He rocked the Kango. His voice, he like Method Man. You know what I mean? To me, he looked like Method Man. You know what I mean? He say, you my son because you sound like one. You know what I mean? Like my pop. He was heavy in the hip hop. I think that, and he told me the first song. He told me the first song I sung or rap. What was the song? Was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Whose song is that?
I don't know what the name of it.
Yeah, I know the song you're talking about though. Look, you was running around 3-4 years old.
And then my uncle man, Free Manny Strong, Anthony Harrell, AS 2059, upstate for a crime he did not do. They sentenced him to life, but we're getting him out. Just was down, handling some business today. But he sent me bro. We gonna bring this back. Listen, what I'm about to tell you. From prison, my mom, I remember getting a drum set. I wanted a drum set. I got that. I guess somehow he found out I like music. He sent me a Miracle piano. So the Miracle piano, my daughter's middle name Miracle, that played a little role in my thought process too. But The Miracle Piano, this was back, I was born in 84, y'all. I had this Miracle Piano probably about 94 or something like that. You could hook it up to a Macintosh computer, which was the computers there. Unheard of. It had the different settings, taught you how to play the piano. Came with the instruction to learn, teach you how to play it on your own. So that was like, you know what I mean? And I had that, I played on that joint a lot. So that was really the beginning of me producing. I had that Miracle Piano from my uncle upstate.
Talk about Uncle Man, because you actually, right out of school, right out of you graduated, you started a record label named Manny Strong Records after your uncle. So talk about Uncle Man.
So my Uncle Man, is my biggest living mentor, I would say. You know, God is the ultimate mentor. But my grandma's and mom's, but my Uncle Man, bro, he was incarcerated at like 22 for framed by the 39th District, Philadelphia 39th District Police for murder. They all off of hearsay. It's absurd. To the point where they got a smoker, gave him a script, forced him to learn this, bro. This shit, wait till y'all see the movie, because it's definitely a movie and y'all gonna see it. Forced him to learn the script to the point where they brought his girlfriend in there. He having sex in the DA's office with his girlfriend while they forced him to learn the script. Of overhearing my uncle and somebody talking about a murder, and the whole DA, Roger King, and city of Philadelphia, you know, colluded to frame him. Why? Because he had 22, he had several properties, a real estate owner, he had a storefront apartment, 3-story apartment complex at 18th Ontario where Lil Rucky, Long Live Rucky, mural was at. He had a club on Germantown, Allegheny, right across the street from Carmen Skating Ring over there, and a couple other properties. And that's what they was doing back then. You know, it was racist, taking Mamiya, that's why he took him off. He was a journalist writing about, you know what I mean, journalism about what was happening in the community.
Uncle Man was a journalist.
No, I'm saying Mamiya Abu Jamal, so I'm saying my uncle, like, we got political prisoners. So that's why when we talking about freeing people and pardons going out, and, you know, niggas is rocking with Donald Trump because he pardoned Kodak Black, and, like, that's really something when if we don't, and niggas be like, oh, making excuses for shit like what Diddy and them doing. No, we need justice for niggas like my Uncle Man that's locked up for being honorable. The Black Panthers and all that. We don't need these niggas that got position and out here playing fucking games with money and fucking and doing all this nut shit. When they know. Fucking Puff Daddy was at Howard University. All the intelligence and accolades we give to these niggas for shit, and niggas making this, those is not the niggas we want to use justice and advocate for. My uncle and political prisoners that was doing the right thing and the government framed them with murder and did all types of crazy shit is who justice is for. Not these rapists and murderers that are doing stuff that with the freedoms that people that stood for principle did. We wouldn't be around here doing none of this shit. If it wasn't for Malcolm X and Dr. King, they didn't take a stand so niggas could be pimps and fucking sell drugs and all that shit. That's why we can do that. It ain't because the drug dealers freed us. The drug dealers didn't free the motherfucking slaves off the slave shit. It was people that, believers. It was believers all the way across the board. All the way across the board, it was Christians and Muslims that freed the slaves and that ever did anything for the people, for mankind. And now, as a people, bro, you know what I mean, we be, you know, but I went on that because my uncle was locked up and mentored me from jail. And I started Manny Strong Records because to free him. The goal was, I knew with my passion for music, I already knew the business that you can make a lot of money off of one hit. So I mixed my passion with, you know, with entrepreneurship and been building it ever since. You know, we built the catalog of Manny Strong Records. And then, you know, I launched the I'm Looking for Curtis Jackson campaign because I looked at the game and saw out of all the executives that was on top, it was Puffy, it was Hove, it was Dre, M, and now 50. And Dre and M was kind of like, you know, they had 50, so they was falling back and not so active. So it really was just 50, Hove, Baby and them. But out of all the executives, he was the only one that had the most had integrity. All of the rest of their artists, didn't really had no integrity. So I chose him. So I say that to say, my uncle Manny Strong, his entrepreneurship. I grew up in his building. My mom, when she moved out of my grandma's crib, she moved in her brother's building. So we lived there, in his apartment building. And we had a store that we, at first the family ran, and then we let the Spanish people rent it from us, and we owned that. So I grew up in entrepreneurship. I grew up in being a victim of the city of Philadelphia police corruption. So when people talking about, getting active and mobilized, I was born into having to advocate for my family because of injustice. So when I'm out here doing this community activism, it's primarily personal for me.
Was Uncle Man an entrepreneur? Because people will ask, why him? Why they choose to, you said he was young with properties. Why would they choose to go after him?
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean...
Was he like in the streets or something?
No, he was a business owner. And what I'm saying is, the streets is the black community. So what I mean by that is, there's negativity in us amongst the black community. We associate the streets with the street stuff. But what I'm saying is, to the city of Philadelphia, the streets is black people. You understand what I'm saying? So to them, and they was getting money. So, they was getting money a lot of different ways, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't know him ever being charged and found guilty of anything. You get what I'm saying? Prior to that murder. So, I don't know. As far as he was a businessman.
All right, well, I think you kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask you, like, why a record label, but I hear you. I remember you saying because...
My passion for music. Passion for music, I named it after him to honor him and bring him, and I know music, what we grew up with, shout out to Major Figures, when mixtapes was out, when the song come on, free Manny, free Spado, free, So that was I knew that was going to be a vehicle. So it wasn't just getting in business. It was using music in the entertainment platform to broadcast the message.
Why didn't the record label, Manny Strong, succeed, in your opinion?
Because the industry was led by people with poor integrity that I wasn't really willing to work with.
Because I was around,
right.
And rumors has it that it was a couple artists, and y'all had a spat over a female artist.
Oh well, that you mean why it didn't work out? Right. Well, I'm saying when you saying why it didn't work out for the initial artist. Because I'm saying things is working out for Manny Strong Records. You get what I'm saying? We still here in business. You know what I mean? Sometimes people misconstrue where they think you should be at with your actual plan. You get what I'm saying? So when you're watching my movie, you don't know my script. I'm showing you this, telling you that, you know what I mean, and putting things together. But everything is going according to plan for me. You know what I mean? Based off of where it can go. I had several, I would say, milestones where I was having these launching events. I got incarcerated. So, each time we had the Coliseum, I was about to do a launch, got booked. So, even when I got booked at that time, I had Tahiri, Joe Budden's ex, you get what I'm saying, hosting my launching at the Coliseum, the first tour bus in Philadelphia. We had the biggest after hour in Philadelphia. So I was about to, finally launch everything we was doing. And then that's when I had to go to trial. And I ended up, having to take an open plea and went upstate. I went upstate launching with Tahiri hosting my birthday party. The YouTube is still on YouTube right now, her inviting everybody. You get what I'm saying? It never happened. And it just got put on pause until I came back. So my plan when I came back was first thing first, walk off parole. I had to walk off parole to 2020. So I took a job, lay low. And in the meantime, scope Philadelphia out. I didn't launch nothing yet. This is the launch. All I've been doing is scoping, being L&I to the city, finding out who. I was doing all this community stuff before I left. So I know everybody who's who that's now active. So all I was doing was scooping them, playing out, and that was launch time. So yeah, like Manny Strong Records, I would say the streets got in the way.
Now, you had a love for music since a kid. But when you first started your record label, you wasn't rapping. When did you first start rapping, and why did you start producing your own music?
Well, I first started rapping, I told you, in 4th grade when I rapped Method Man song. Then the second time that I rapped actually with those artists you talked about. So I started Made It Strong Records with 2 artists called Fast Bucks and J Mac. So I identify them as that, right?
Face the facts.
Right, so we all went to Girard together. They my brothers. You know what I mean? Mac was in my grade, and Fast Bucks was in a grade under us. But in middle school, like Fast Bucks he was already deep in the rap. Like he was a rapper, and he's hot. You know what I mean? Always been hot. Mm-hmm. So actually, Fast Bucks, I'm just in the dorm. We just in the dorm on campus chilling. They working on the track. He asked me to do the hook that he wrote for the song they was working on. So when he asked me to rap the hook, I rapped it. And that was really the spark of me thinking about when I wrote my first rap. After that, I had threw a talent show at Girard. And when I threw the talent show at Girard, that was my debut as being a rapper. Desperado, that was my rapper name. It's Desperado, and I'm known to spit, especially at cats who known to grit. But aside from being gangster, I love to. I said, well, but aside from being gangster, I love to switch. Something about these chicks.
So was that your first rap?
Oh no, that wasn't my first. It was my first live performance.
Okay.
Me and Bo. Shout out Bo Whispers. We shut that joint down. You know, I was dancing in that joint and everything to Beyonce, Survivor. You know, you used to bit off of that all the time. Yeah, I was the host. I was rapping. I was dancing. I did everything. Same thing I'm doing now. Back, baby.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, you used to bid off that all the time.
That's because you fucking did the Super Bowl joint before Beyonce. you was in fucking formation.
Yep, doing the Janet Jackson joint.
Yeah, that shit was dope though. I ain't gonna lie though. I was a young nigga in the crowd. And I thought I was watching really like some living color shit, bro. The show that you put on, bro. What grade you was in back then?
I was in about 11th grade because, you know, the seniors and the juniors always ran it. So I was in 11th and 12th. So I had to wait. That was I think it was 11th grade because I had the middle school, you know what I mean? I had a job. Thanks to you. I had that relationship. That was a middle school and high school talent show.
Right.
I had everybody in that joint. That's what it was about. It was all inclusive.
Yeah, that was a good job. Now, the reason why I asked you that, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, you done ran a record label, you had hot artists, but it was your own music that took you to Monaco.
Yeah, man.
And before you start,
wow,
where the hell is Monaco?
Oh, Monaco. So Monaco is a European state, I would say in the south of France, not too far from Nice, France. Most people might be familiar with Paris, France. So it's south of France. Saint-Tropez, y'all know Hov, y'all man. Fuck Jay-Z, by the way. Yeah, you know, Monaco is a European state. What that means is they're like their own country. They're not a country because they're small, but they're independent. They're not under nobody's rule. They have a prince, Prince Albert. Prince Albert, mom is Grace Kelly. Kelly Drive is named after Grace. Grace Kelly is an American actress. So the royal family, you know, they got gold, they got land, and their money and land is backed by gold. So that's Monaco. So you asked me. Oh, you said I was a manager and all that, but
no, I was saying the question is all your music. You was pushing everything. You did a record label, but your own music is what got you to the palace.
Right. So I'm gonna just explain that. So what happened was, you know, we started with the facts. The facts brought you on. You understand? Shout out to SK. And so back SK stand for Street Dollars, y'all. Mm-hmm. So after the facts left us. You understand the facts? So basically, I built a catalog with the facts. And one day, I mean, you're here, you called me. You get what I'm saying? You called me like, yo, bro, they said they ain't with us no more. I'm like, damn, well, that's cool. I just want to know why. Why not?
Right.
Hell, for me.
And you see how I said they ain't with us.
You did. That's what I'm telling the story. This is the first time, you know what I mean? I'm telling these are bros. Shout out, you know what I mean, to the facts. Tehran, James Womack, you know what I mean? Tehran Ford.
My guys,
I'm Jon McKay, you know what I mean? We Girardians, y'all, you know, it's all love. But this our story, right? So, you know, they said we built up a catalog. We working with Track Blazers who made the Get Down on the Ground beat for Gilly the Kid before the Get Down on the Ground beat, you know what I mean? Before he got that beat, but just that we tell the story. Shout out to Track Blazers. But that's where we was at. Y'all was at Trackblazer Studio. Mm-hmm. You understand? The house studio down Erie Avenue.
Right.
So, fresh out of high school, what I do, I put them in the studio. Mm-hmm. To the point where I even had to buy them cell phones. Like real rap. I had to buy them cell phones. Now, we just peers. Me and Mac in the same age. Tehran, he a grade under us. But, we all out of school at this point. And, I'm doing my job. No contract. No contract, ladies and gentlemen. No contract. Put my paper up. I had a job. I was working for Sears Credit Card Collection. They got bought out by Citibank, who's still around. Sears had their own MasterCard. They had their own MasterCard you could use anywhere. So they bought out, they moved to Delaware. They gave us severance pay for a year, and I had unemployment. So I had unemployment for a year, severance pay for a year. Main Strong Records, we in the studio, utilizing all my resources for it. I could be doing anything.
Right.
We doing our thing. We building it up. We get to the point, we ain't even, to this day, don't nobody really know, who Main Strong Records is. But it was enough for niggas to start feeling themselves. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, like, oh, we cool. We don't need them no more, which was their position. So they called, you told me that. And I just wanted to put on the record, all I wanted to do was why, so that I could perfect my situation. We wasn't on contract. I want to know what I did so I could revise it so with the next artist, or maybe I could make the adjustment or whatever. But the route they took was like, they just ghost me. And the only way that I could get their attention was to rap. So really, they put me in the booth. Mm. The facts, James Will, my brothers, they put me in the booth. Because until I wrote a rap about, the disrespect for them to not explain to me what happened after me spending my time and money, you understand? And thinking that they're going to rap about being in the street when they were just the original Drakes. You understand? We're not doing that. It was cool. I'm not going to let you do that. If you're going to go out there and be Drake, you're going to go out there and be Drake with everybody knowing from the rip. So once I did that, my phone rung. Yo, bro, you wrote a track? Yeah, why the fuck y'all couldn't? Da-da-da-da. Since then, we all good. But that's how I ended up really, because you was like, that's, how did I end up being a rapper? Mm-hmm. That's what that was about, because in my mind, internally, it wasn't so much, I just wanted to find out from them, I know how to get people attention. But for me as a professional, where I shifted to, I said, I'm going to put myself, I like rapping. I said, if I can take myself somewhere, the next artist I work with, I won't have to prove myself. Because that was the problem. I couldn't get y'all, even, to follow my instruction because I didn't have a budget. Even though I knew what I was talking about, because I didn't have a budget, y'all didn't want to listen on the level of this. If you were signed to a contract, you know what I'm saying? You would listen just because of the presentation. So I said, if I put my own self out, and because y'all's hotter than me, y'all better writers than me, in my opinion. Y'all better artists than me. I like to vent through rapping and have fun with it. But y'all, y'all are they wordsmiths. Mm-hmm. And they're very talented. So for me, it was about proving my business abilities. If I can send me around the world, look what happened. Right. I end up going, I got myself to your point with my song Peace in the Streets, around the globe with me, and y'all way hotter than me. So now when I come and bring all of Philadelphia, and anybody that's willing to work with me, I got me. Flown from Philly to France with my Peace in the Streets song and my catalog, which most of it is bombing on nut-ass Jay-Z and Puffy and Rick Ross and all these weird niggas that made hip-hop weird. You understand? That's what my catalog is full of, but it got me flown across the globe, and I use it to vent and to really strategically talk and address nut shit. But the other artists, for you that love music, imagine what I'm going to do with y'all.
All right. Now let's get to some shit.
Yeah, come on, let's get into the shit. It's coming to 2025. Where we at? Right now, go ahead.
When you start selling drugs, man, and why?
Oh, man. So, I intentionally told people like you and people along the way because it was the truth, but I knew we were going to get to this point. I didn't have to sell drugs. I was at work.
Yeah, that was my point for the why. Because you went to a private school. You have two parents and you have a stepdad. You have a village. You have grandparents. You have uncles and aunts. You have a job. You have college education.
So I was at work, and I'm at work. I'm always reflecting. God always made me a critical thinker, and then Gerard sharpened it up, and my whole upbringing helped with that, right? I can't turn it off. And I'm reflecting, and I'm looking at the world and my situation, and I'm like, yo, the world really fucked up because people didn't get the same curriculum as us at Girard College. Because now I'm at work. I'm at Girard from 2nd to 12th grade. You're not really amongst the world. Now as an adult and working in these jobs, I'm like, niggas is dumb as shit. Pardon my language. Y'all not dumb. But that's how I felt.
Right.
People are unintelligent because y'all not. We are brilliant. But because of the curriculum that people were given. Because I had to be honest about how I felt, but I don't speak down on my people.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And I said it like that because by the time you go through high school, you should have a certain set of tools. But the reason why people don't have it, so I take that statement back. I didn't see and feel like niggas is dumb as shit. I recognized that my folks was taken advantage of it, sabotage, because of a curriculum. And it had people out here looking and appearing to be dumb as shit.
No, understood, bro. I got kicked out of Girard in the 12th grade. 2 months left to graduate. When I got to Benjamin Franklin, I was in every AP and honors course at the school. Now, I'm glad that they even had the classes, but I was in all of them. And in the AP and honors classes, they was learning what we learned in Girard in middle school. So this is their best and brightest in the school. But the curriculum they're giving, the books and the tools they're giving is so far behind. So I just had to get that out.
But think about it. So you know that in high school. I now know that as an adult. So while I'm at work, I'm working for Tate & Curl & Associates. Shout out to my main man, Jerry Smith. He's still around. B-Ball, OFU, Entertainment. I'm there, and I'm like, I gotta do something. And what God put on my heart is lots. Life outside the streets. I'm playing. I'm at my desk. I'm doing bill collection. I work for Sears. Now a couple years later, I done went back to work. Done run through the unemployment money. I'm back at work. I'm working for another collections agency. It's Tate & Curl & Associates. So I'm sitting there at work. While you calling bill collecting, you got time to write and shit. God give me lots. Life outside the streets. I said, oh, that's hot. Going to Girard, I experienced life outside the streets. My family was in the mix. You asked me, was he doing crime? No, but they was amongst the network. Because the streets is where black people at. So if you black, you live in the hood, you're in the streets.
You're amongst them motherfuckers. Even if you ain't partaking in it.
Exactly. And I've taken the crime I did, got sentenced for, I took an open plea. So on the record, I took accountability for it. So I sold drugs. You know what I'm saying? That's what we talk about right now. But other than that,
an open plea being they could have spanked you.
For sure, we will get to that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, once that's on the record, that's the only thing you're going to hear me as a person being in the streets ever confirm, point blank, period. So stop telling on yourself. If you was, I don't care who's it. This is my brother interviewing me. No, I wasn't in the streets. No, he wasn't in the streets. No. This is not the place to disclose that. No matter who's asking y'all. This is not the place to disclose anything criminal. I'm sorry nobody else told you. I couldn't wait to get here and start telling y'all this. And I'm going to keep telling y'all this. Stop disclosing your personal feelings and all. That's for therapy. Tell your story in a marketable way. But don't tell on yourself.
Thanks.
So, yeah. I was sitting at work, bro. Gave me lots. And what really hit me was, I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell the hood everything I know. I'm going to tell them you could be an entrepreneur. I'm at work. But I'm like, once these other things I know about credit and all the stuff that's popping right now, I know this back in 2004. But I'm like, they not going to listen to me because I'm the boarding school kid. I knew that to be a fact because at school, as the boarding school kid, it's funny, I was at school, the boarding school kid, but I was the street kid at school. So I was bringing the streets at school and bringing that home, and playing with that. We was at school gambling, doing all types of
shit that we should
have been doing, bringing in there, looking to have fun.
Right.
Imitating what we see, not trying to be, malicious with it, but that's what we was doing. So, right before I graduated, our class was bad as shit. Class 02, we was bad as shit. Well, I think
that was my old heads.
Yeah,
that was
we
bad
was
as shit.
So, and I was the ring. I was a ringleader.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm saying that to say they had to bring somebody in to talk to us like we do. Like I go and so I've been in detention my whole life. And they brought in, I'm gonna shout him out, Marcus Hunter, straight A student. And he doing what he's supposed to do. You would think bringing in a straight A student was the right thing to do. Now I'm telling, this is me. They tell me, so they bring us to Founders Hall. All right, I'm actually like, all right, who we want to talk to? Feeling good about it. But the moment I knew it was Marcus Hunter, I didn't know it was, I have a problem with him. I had a problem with the fact that he had straight A's and never was in detention. He can't relate to me.
Right.
He ain't never walk in the classroom and the teacher said, here come Jon McKay, I know you gonna be in detention today. He never experienced that. So I felt like you can't relate to me. So I didn't want to hear nothing he said. So that was the seed that planted me going in the streets. I said, damn, if I'm gonna pull these niggas out, I gotta actually sell drugs.
You gotta be one of them.
In real life.
And that's how they gonna
And the curiosity, the adventure too. Mind you, I love rap, so I already was watching the movie. So I was already fascinated about it, and I had access. So now I found a good reason. Keep it 100.
Nigga, this is the craziest shit I ever heard in my life. Hold up. So for the record, you start selling drugs to save your people.
To save the drug dealer, nigga. What you talking about, nigga?
This nigga crazy.
Because now look,
I
went upstate, everything. The square, the boarding school kid, they tell you all this bullshit is all bullshit, man. Niggas upstate, y'all see it. Now you can see it. They got cameras in there. Look at they in there doing TikTok and dancing. It ain't that. It ain't that. It ain't that. So don't, people waste their time. We gonna talk about it. I'm gonna let you draw the conversation. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's time to give them the real, man. It's Philly for real.
Yeah, well, since you talking about the real.
Come on, let's get into it.
Is it true?
Uh-oh. Here you go. He talking about, I'm gonna tell you, he talking about, is anything off the table? I said nope, but I'll tell you if it's off the table. Go ahead.
Is it true back in when you was a street pharmaceutical? That's very frowned upon. Is it true you jumped out a second floor window?
Oh shit, yeah, look.
Oh yeah, I see that. God damn, you gotta get closer, baby.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, the dumbest thing I ever done in my life. So if you're ever gonna keep an escape route to avoid escape jukes, you know what I mean? You got to practice the drill. See, at school, fire drills, why we gotta have a drill? So when it's a real fire, you know it's the right way to go. So because I identified an escape route, but didn't do any drills, when it was a real blitz from the police, my dumb ass went to jump out the window and realized this was not the best route.
It was a little higher than what you thought.
Look, I done hit my head again, right, on camera. No, real rest, so I jumped out the second floor window off of 18th and Erie. And the reason why, so I had already went to France. When I caught my first case with the gun and drugs, I had the gun. There was a gun in the car because they found the gun. And it wasn't, where they found it at, I didn't put it there. Let me just say that. And it was a car I was driving. Wasn't my car. And as a result of that, when the cops, so what happened, let me tell you this real quick. The day that I got blitzed, me and this brother, I'll just say this is nigga.
I'm gonna be a nigga too.
Me and my good brother right here, cause it's not his fault, but it's the situation that I'm. So we were supposed to go to LA to launch the I'm Looking for Curtis Jackson campaign. My man, we had our plane tickets, but my man said his bankroll wasn't big enough, so he said we gotta wait. So I said we had buddy passes, so we could move the date. So I say, fuck it, go ahead, bro, go ahead. We going, just go next month. Shit ain't about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm sitting on a block. So this is my block. I'm on 19th and Pacific. I'm sitting on the block. I'm in the Monte Carlo, smoked it, tinted out. I'm in the trap, but I'm not trapping. I'm really sitting here like, damn, I'm supposed to be in Cali right now. I'm just really in my head, but I'm on my block. So naturally, somebody walk up, want some weed. You get what I'm saying? I see him. I'm not paying attention. Normally, if I'm working and not fucking sitting on the block contemplating, that's not what you're supposed to do. If you're a criminal, you're supposed to be at work. Your job is to watch for the cops until you're not a criminal no more.
Right.
Until you go to sleep. You don't get that job never stops. Criminal 101. I don't want you to be a criminal. But if that's what you're going to do, I'm going to tell you how to do it the right way. You understand? So, because I wasn't doing my job, I gets out, I busted trap. It was somebody I knew. They left. Happened again. I'm sitting in my car. Now I'm sitting in my car, but I ain't that zoned out. I see these motherfuckers. I'm still looking, so I'm sitting in my car on Pacific Street. But no, Pacific Street go down, 19th Street go across. I'm sitting on 19th Street. It's a poppy store right here. The cops sitting right in front on Pacific Street in front of the poppy store. I seen the car there, but again, I'm not in mood. I'm like, any other time, who the fuck is that car? Why the fuck is they on my corner? Da-da-da. I seen the car, paid no mind. Until these niggas hop out. They hop out the car, comes from my car. They kicking them, open the fucking door. So I'm like, all right, I know what I just did. I know I bust 2 traps. I'm in front of my trap crib. It's a abandoned crib. It's with the work in there. They only see me do the 2 traps. I'm like, all right, fuck, I open the door. I get out. I'm like, all right, they can find a little couple weed, couple bags of crack. They searching the car. You know, I'm a little irresponsible, little shit. You know what I mean? They found some shit that I was fucking looking for to sell. Real rare.
They found some missing shit.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, I was looking for that shit, right? Until they pulled that motherfucking gun out. They said, oh. I said, oh, what the fuck? Who put that there? So I got, you know what I mean? So I said that to say, why? You asked me, you heard I jumped out a window. I had to tell y'all that whole traumatic story. So when I'm at my little brother crib, Free Eddie Kane.
Free Eddie Kane.
That's going to be a whole nother thing once y'all find out who Eddie Kane is. Free Eddie Kane. I'm at his crib. So I'm hustling at the time. I got that butter straight to the oils. So the smoker owns the building. So my brother attended in there. I'll run out of work. This bitch talking about, she want more. She think I'm lying because she always asking for shit. I'm like, I don't have no more. She said, I'm calling the cops. Because I ain't got no more work, nigga. Because she calling the cops on me because I don't have no more butter, no more crack. I mean, this bitch crazy. She not calling the cops. Bro, she called the fucking cops. We didn't panic. We outside because we running around the hood. We see we going to the store, coming back from the store, probably gonna grab some backwoods or something. We walking back. I'm like, bro, that's a fucking cop. So now I don't want to just run or dip off. We not really tripping. Like, we going in the apartment. Sure enough, we go in the apartment, bro. We just not answering the door. Right. Fuck you, somebody ain't got no fucking warrant. So we go in. We sit down. Sure enough, they come in. They knock on the door. Police. I don't know why the fuck this nigga go to the door and say who, like, announces of, and then opens the door. He opened. I don't think for a second he gonna open the door. I'm thinking he gonna say, what? Police, what y'all want? Y'all got a warrant? We do all the same. Nigga, you ain't got no warrant, man. Fuck y'all. What you talking about? We ain't doing shit right now. Anyway, we just ran out as far as I know. But this my little brother crib. Mm-hmm. So when he let them in, they like, get the fuck up against the wall. I'm in the back room. They can't see me yet. I already booked for my second flight to France. I caught my first case. I didn't know the gun was there. I'm in a trap house, booked for another flight. I didn't want to take the risk of them finding something else because I know, we was all in through there. Mm-hmm. So that's why I felt the need to take that route. I was clean. I didn't have nothing on me or none of that. But the trauma of getting that gun being there without me being there was really what motivated me. That put that, that made me feel like I had to take that route. Jumped out the fucking window. Then I broke the floor with my hand, then cracked my elbow. Dislocated my joints in my hand, cracked my elbow. I was able to get up, knock the wind out of me, but I only was able to make it to the first porch. The cop ran past me. Well, he started running past. Well, he ran past me. And he asked me, "You seen somebody?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He went. He's like, "It was you." Cause he saw me all winded and shit. Almost had his ass though. And I was fucked up. I couldn't be cool enough. I was fucked up. He's like, dickhead. So he took me, so he ain't had nothing to do. He's like, why the fuck you do that? I'm like, man, I ain't gonna tell him everything